Now, Daniil or Luke, either one of y'all can jump in. We need a crazy Coach Fowler story. All right, we need to put him, put him on blast. That y'all both looking uneasy, like
This,
nah.
this might be what we have to edit out. I don't know.
Welcome to another episode of For the Love of the Game. This week, we're trying to help the young athlete. We're trying to help the young family. We're trying to help people get ready so that they can make that transition from AAU to college. What does it look like? How is it different? How has AAU changed throughout the years? And today, we got two AAU old heads. We got two legends of the game. Two guys that played it back in the day. Today, we have Daniil Bryant and Luke Neely. Both of you, welcome to For the Love of the Game. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, man. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Now, Daniil, am I pronouncing that right, Daniil?
Yep, that's right. Yep.
All right, Daniil, we always ask this of all our guests. How and when did you fall in love with basketball?
I have to say, and it's been multiple occasions, but I say the one that sticks out the most was, I think fourth grade, I got a chance to go to Wizards game. It was my first time going to a pro, basketball game, pro sports game for that matter. And it was LeBron's first year. I think it was '04. And it was just crazy, and I was like, I love the crazy, like fast speed back and forth. I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. And at this point, I'm just like some chubby kid. I'm like, I gotta, I gotta trim down a little bit. So, but then it was like we were going to the team store, and who I was going with, they said that you could get a jersey, and I saw the top one was Gilbert Arenas. I was like, number 0. I don't want to get a jersey with number 0 on it, And I wasn't really watching basketball at the time, so. They were like, I promise you should get this one, but I ended up getting Anton Jameson. I was like, all right, he's number 4. I just get his. but it's crazy looking back. That ended up being like my favorite player of all time, Gilbert Arenas. I tried to model my game after him, and so that's where I really found that love for the game, just being seeing at the highest level like that young, and then of course, like on the ride up, I'm getting stories about different players from the area and what they did to get to that level and stuff like that. So I would say that was the most fond memory for that really got me on that trajectory. So,
hey man, if you go in and if you go to the right game at the right time, it can really make a difference. I got to see Jordan in person in '97, and I paid a lot of money. I got all the way down there. It was something I'll never forget in my entire life. I got to see, Coach Fowler. I got to see him dunking on Murazan. Back in the day, so that was a wonderful experience. Now, Luke Neely, how and when did you fall in love with basketball?
think the win when I was like really little, I think probably one of my earliest memories was one night, the little kid having trouble sleeping, and then I remember going out, and then my dad was watching the NBA Finals when Shaq and Kobe were doing their three-peat and stuff, and so I remember like staying up watching that and just being like, oh, this is so cool and stuff like. And then from there, I mean, and then from as early as I can remember, I was obsessed with basketball, just always dribbling, like playing with the mini hoop and stuff like that. Um, and then in high school, I had a really bad knee surgery,
Mm.
really bad knee injury. I had to get surgery. It was like 6 months, like ACL, everything you could pretty much tear. Um, and so I kind of, like I loved it, but it hurt a lot. So definitely was very disappointing for me and kind of like caught myself falling out of love with basketball a little bit.
Mm.
But then in college, shout out to Randolph Macon. They just have a really good culture and organization, and like and then kind of fell back in love with the game, and now I'm never gonna not love it again. So yeah. It's,
Awesome, awesome, awesome. My daughter and I, we're at almost every Randolph Macon camp every summer. Amen.
that's cool.
I'm 10 minutes away from Randolph Macon. Coach Fowler, how and when did you meet these ballers, and how did you ever connect with them?
So they were part of probably one of the best backcourts that I definitely have ever coached. But during their time, uh, that backcourt, that travel basketball backcourt, um, could play against anybody. I mean, if there's not a team that I could think of that I wouldn't put them against and didn't feel confident that we could come out with a win. Um, so it was probably y'all. I think ninth grade, going into ninth grade. Um, Actually, Luke is a year younger than each of them, so he was playing up. That's right, Luke. Right, you played up a year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Luke was in eighth grade, and so there was a so really I kind of if Adam was on here, you know, Adam kind of came into the program. This is all SQBA at the time. So Frankie Lewis, who had been on our show in the past, uh, me and him were working together, and the kid Adam was on this eighth grade team, and he was the only one at the time. We didn't have all of these guys yet, and I saw it, and I was like, listen, somebody's got to coach that team and build around him and turn this team into something special because there is something special there. He had already mentioned Luke, and then we just had Adam and Luke the first year, and then we played against Daniil. And Daniil, I mean, he gave us buckets. We beat him, but he just gave us buckets that game. And before he left, I was like, he's not getting out of here without me finding somebody that his parent. I actually thought I ran into his dad, but it ended up being his stepdad. But I chased him out in the hallway and made sure that I spoke to him before he left. Um, and we started pursuing Daniil for the next season, and we ended up building this solid backcourt, man, that was just ridiculous. We didn't have, I mean, I say we didn't have a ton of size, but Luke's like 6'8", 6'9". So I mean, so he was on the wing,
Mm.
so we didn't have any legit like real post players. We but the guards on that team, they were phenomenal. And watching them play and each of them playing their role, none of them being, selfish or, I mean, it got to the point where they were cool with coming off the bench because we just had so many of them. I mean, you had to, well, you didn't have so many of them, but you had too many to start. And so they were like, I'll come off the bench this game, coach, don't worry about it. And so, it was really cool to watch. All of them kind of do their thing. I mean, you had your scorers, you had your defensive players. I mean, Daniil, one of the scrappiest defensive players that you would ever see. Luke, left-handed, lights out shooter, long, could get his shot off pretty much on anybody. So, it was fun to watch them grow. But yeah, it was around the eighth and ninth grade for them that I ran into him and recruited him into the program and kind of went on this 3 year journey. We called it the 3 year plan. Kind of went on a 3 year journey with them and it was a run. And what's unique about this is it was right before I mean, you're kind of right before the circuits all started. Like you had enough of the circuit to where, we didn't run it like last episode we talked about with Nico and Travis Lee and them. They got a chance to play against some of the Nike teams because there wasn't just a Nike circuit. You still had like the Peach Jam, you had Nike tournaments, you just didn't have that circuit. Uh, these guys got a chance to play against some of those teams, but it was a little bit, it had started to change a little bit. So, I mean, this was a little bit, it was about 2009, 2010 guys, that we were doing this. So it was right at the shift, but they were still able to play against some really competitive teams. And we wouldn't, when we went to certain tournaments, we wouldn't shy away and jump into the silver brackets and this and that. We wanted to play in the bigger brackets and play against the higher up teams. And we competed and we won a lot of those, a lot of those championships, beating some of those bigger name teams. So it was kind of in that transition from what AAU once was to what it is now. So they're kind of in that right in that transition period.
Okay.
Tune in, like, and subscribe for the love of the game with Tony and David.
Are they a generation after Nico?
They are a generation after Nico. So Nico probably, I think Nico finished playing travel basketball. So guys, just so we're referencing Nico, and actually Nico's brother Henry is one of the guys from that team that played with Daniil and Luke. He was one of our guys in that same backcourt that was phenomenal. Yeah, so Nico was done in probably 2007, 2006, 2007, and then I was at Patrick Henry Community College, and when I came back from Patrick Henry Community College is when I ran in and started seeing. I saw Adam, with Frankie, and I was like, hey, let me get that team and build them up. So yeah, this is the generation right after Nico played.
Okay, all right. Now, Daniil or Luke, either one of y'all can jump in. We need a crazy Coach Fowler story. All right, we need to put them on blast. That y'all both looking uneasy, like nah.
This, this might be what we have to edit out. I don't know.
You're on mute though. Let me unmute you. Oh, there you go.
My bad. Well, one that comes to my mind real quick is I guess we were I don't know what it was for. There was something that upset Coach Fowler, and he had us in the parking lot of the hotel running sprints or something. And I was in flip flops and socks on, and my dad was so mad. He was like, "No, he's not doing that."
Yeah, me and Keith were pretty tight, man. Like me and Keith were tight, and that kind of threw me for a loop. Keith didn't like Luke out there running. I think you ran in your socks because you didn't have your shoes. So I made you run in your socks, and he was like, "Nah." And Keith was like, "Come on, Luke, let's get out of here." I mean, he was fired up. I've never seen Keith like that. And Luke started to walk off, and then with his dad, and then he was like, "Nah, Dad, nah," and he ran back. So I mean, that showed you a lot about Luke and his character, man. He went right back on that line and kept running.
Oh,
Uh, but Keith was fired up about that, man.
wow. Well, he does say he loves Coach Bobby Knight. So now, you were confirming the Bobby Knight love. That sounds like a Bobby Knight move, running in sandals and socks in the parking lot. That's a Bobby Knight move right there. So, Daniil, what's your crazy Coach Fowler story?
Well, that's funny. I was definitely gonna say that same one, but it was probably multiple of them. I think I can just go to just the 16s we would run. And I think it was one time it was like we had the circuits doing like the wall touches, the wall jumps, and then we was going between that and then I think push-ups or planks, and also 16s was in there, I think. But it was like one day we were doing like 16s and like everybody was throwing up. It was just kind of like it was just like assembly line at the trash can. Like the next person will go, next person will go. It's just like how much we conditioned. I think it's just what I think about all of our practices and like how we really needed to be conditioned with our style of play because we were just in your face, for full court, so we always reference that 40 minutes of hell, 30 for 30. So just that's like a thing that's just like it's just ingrained in my head, just like how hard we worked when it came on the conditioning side, to get to where we wanted to be. Because sometimes we would go to tournaments with like 6 people, or just 5 or something like that, not meeting that number. So you're not gonna get off the court. So it's just give your all, and we had that ability to do that from our hard practices. So
Amen.
And the practice that Daniil is talking about is actually one of my favorite practices ever. And I know they're probably like, yeah, I'm sure it was, Coach Fowler. It was interesting I think that was the turning point of when this team clicked, and we didn't hardly lose again. Like after that, I mean, these guys could have got fed up, walked out of practice, said, I ain't never coming back. Heck with Coach Fowler. But one thing that they started doing was when one of them was falling, or when one of them was, throwing up or whatever, they started carrying each other.
Mm.
And I was in awe. And so I had like former players back, I had Bradley Starks, Daryl Poole. I had other guys that were in the gym with me that had played with me in the past. And, they're clapping it up and they're getting these guys going. Some of them are even running with them a little bit. And next thing you know, like instead of them getting upset, which I knew that they weren't happy with me. But instead of them getting upset, they just started carrying each other. And they started, when one was done running, he would go back and grab another one and, help him get to the finish line and this and that. Now that style right now would get me in all kind of trouble nowadays, but which is one of the reasons I walked away. But that group, if you want to talk about why they were as good as they were and why they were able to compete the way that they were able to compete, that practice right there was who they were. And to me, that was probably one of the most special practices I've ever had. I know to them, they probably like, man, that's one that sticks out. They're throwing up there. We had one kid crying. I mean, it was a tough situation, but they fought through that. And again, after that practice, that was where we got over the hump. And some of these games that we were losing that we shouldn't have lost, we weren't losing anymore. And so that to me, that practice stands out. And I know exactly which practice he's talking about because to this day, it still stands out to me as one of the best practices that we've ever had. And we barely touched the basketball.
Yeah, I even add one more thing with that is, yeah, we was carrying each other, but we weren't carrying Donald. That's one word we wasn't carrying.
Well, Donald was the one that was crying over at the
Yeah.
trash can. He was crying because nobody would carry him.
Uh-huh.
Donald was like 7 foot, and I don't even want to put a weight on him, but he was he is a very large dude. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, I've never played on y'all's level, but I will say this: in the Army, when you are with another group of men, or you're with a group of men, and you have to do something a little psychopathic, it creates a bond that it's that y'all are willing to die for each other. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just a little, it's just you get an edge there once you are willing to go there with somebody, and once you've been there with somebody. So I can understand. I can understand. What's a memorable game that y'all had playing together back in the day? Was there a particular game that stands out that really put an imprint on you?
Like and subscribe for the love of the game.
Either one could go. Well, Luke, you're unmuted, so you go first, man.
Uh, hmm. Some's a little blurry than others. I mean, I think one time in Pittsburgh, I don't know if it might have been after Daniil. I remember, I could be wrong about this, but I think I remember like did we win a tournament in Pittsburgh, Coach Fowler? Do you know if we did or not?
the one I'm thinking of is in Pennsylvania, but it was like the Quaker City Classic, so it might have been outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But we lost in the championship. But
Uh,
that was our coming out party, though. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but that's gonna be mine. But unless y'all go with it, because I see Daniil smiling a little bit.
Is that DC Assault or was that what that was?
Yeah, we beat them and we beat Steve Francis's team to get to
Okay.
the championship. And so and everybody was like, "Who are these dudes?" Because that we weren't like nobody knew us yet. And it was actually it was the tournament right after that practice, to be honest with you. But nobody knew who we were, and we came out and we ran over some Maryland team that was running their mouths in the hallway. They were clapping at, clapping in y'all's faces and all that kind of stuff, and trying to get all hype in the hallway, and we ran over them, and then just kind of kept running through that whole tournament. And then Mike Bray, who was the coach of Notre Dame at the time, was sitting right at under the basket while we beat Steve Francis's team in the Final Four and made it to the championship game. And everybody was, and that team was 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". I mean, they were across the board. That team was huge, and nobody thought we had a chance to beat them. And we ended up beating them, and everybody was like, "Who is this?" That was our coming out party. That if that's the one you're talking about, Luke, that was near Pittsburgh. It wasn't the Pitt Jam Fest, but it was near Pittsburgh. It was a NCAA certified tournament. It was a live event.
Yeah, I remember that one, and I was thinking about that one too. There was another one I was thinking of where I thought we played against like maybe the team that they like won some sort of thing the year before, and we beat them, and I was like, oh shoot, like we're
Oh
supposed
yeah, that we did win that tournament, and they won the national championship the year before. But that was with the year after Daniil, and actually, Daniil, you might have been a part of that team. Were you there with Casey and Blake?
Yep, yep, uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Oh,
yeah, so
Casey
it was
Blake,
just you
yeah.
two guys. Adam and Justin and Henry weren't on with that team anymore, but it was just you two guys left.
Yeah, but I remember playing that Pennsylvania one. That was a fun tournament. That was cool. I remember that coach sitting underneath the basket and being like, "Oh snap!" And then I remember we got smoked in the championship. That team that we played in the
New
championship,
Jersey Shore Shots or something like that. Yeah, they were a shoe contract team.
they humbled. Yeah, I remember being. Oh,
Ran out of gas, man. But it was still memorable. It was a
oh
nice tournament.
Awesome. Now, Daniil, what was your memorable game?
Um, this was later. I think it's the last year. That I did SQBA, and it was at VCU, and we won that gold bracket tournament. I think it was gold. And we had it was like the game before the championship. It was like we didn't really play to the best we should have, but like at the end, I think I ended up like arguing with you, coach. Like that
Yep, I
was
remember that
yeah,
one.
yeah. And I was just like, dang, I gotta bounce back after that one. And like, just like because our team was super, we were close knit. We all the teams that I was on, we were super, super closely knit. And that was a good thing that I remember too for sure, was just like the life lessons we were taught in all these different places we go. And the buddy system, just making sure you got, so but yeah, that last game we were shooting lights out. And I think it was a red team. I forgot the team name. I think it was a red team though.
Yeah, they were out of DC or Maryland.
Yeah, that's when we had Boo AG on the team, and
He hit
and
that
so
half
yeah,
court. He hit that
yeah,
half
he had
court
the
right
half court
before halftime.
shots. So everything was kind of clicking that game. And I just remember it very vividly because it was just like for all the marbles, and they was playing like radioactive before the game, so it kind of gave you that like atmosphere, like some pregame, and you got to like sit there and wait before somebody's finished playing. Just kind of was like, all right, we made it, and this is the biggest stage. Let's go get it done. So that one for sure, super memorable. And it was kind of my last year too, so it was
Yeah, that
Now,
one was that one was a good one, Tony. That was a big shots tournament, and that was the gold bracket. We had beaten teams from New York. Where else? But we ended up playing a team from Maryland, and they were another big team that had size and all of that, and we ended up beating them in the championship game. And that was kind of like the going out. I think you and Luke came back the next year with them, that because that was still Adam and Henry and Justin
that's right.
and
Yeah.
Boo joined us and Ricky. Uh, but that one was we weren't supposed to win that one either. And again, this team right here just was the, full of surprises, I guess, for everybody else. But I knew, there wasn't anybody I ever went and was like, man, we might not have a shot against them. We always had a shot. And then the game before that, Daniil, man, I remember I was actually thinking about that before we started this podcast today, while I was kind of going through my head some of the things. And yeah, and Daniil kind of on the bench kind of said some things back to me when I would say something to him, and and I sat him the rest of the game, and again he could have got bitter, and he didn't get bitter. He got better, and bounced back from that and had a phenomenal championship game. So it was clutch. The things I did, there was a purpose behind everything. So to hear you say that, Daniil, means a lot, man.
now in 2025, AAU has made public school basketball kind of easy for my daughter because my daughter played AAU year round, and then she played her first public school game, so the game kind of came easy, at least into the championship where she was playing other embedded AAU players. Did AAU make public school easy for both of you all as well, or was what was your experience after you would tour with Coach Fowler when you would go to the public school or the private school and play for them? What was that experience like back then? Either one.
I would say like I think I don't know, easier. I mean, I liked the AAU team a lot more than my high school teams, just in terms. I mean, much respect to people I played with and coaches or whatever, but I think that the teams I was on in high school were not that good record wise. Like didn't win a whole lot, and so going to AAU, we'd go to AAU and then we would barely lose, and so and that's what I like. I like winning and stuff, and I mean, who doesn't? And so I think, I mean, maybe a little bit harder. I think it was definitely easier for me playing AAU than it was playing at high school because I had Adam and like had the guys. We had I loved playing with the AAU team, right? I didn't necessarily love playing with people in high school as much. So, I mean, harder in that degree, I would say, because I think I like playing more team basketball. Like I've never been like an ISO player where, oh, I gotta go one-on-one with somebody. So yeah, to answer your question, I would say it made high school basketball harder for me, like public school basketball. And yeah.
Hey, did you know there's this little button? It's right here on the video. And it reads SUBSCRIBE. And when you click that little button, an angel gets its wings. For real.
Yes. So Dania, what was your how did it feel to you when you would have to leave the AAU team and go through your public school or private school season? How was that transition?
I think to start it was a little bit of a transition, but a good transition. I think you start to learn because I think in AAU, everybody's for the most part got the same common goal, and especially with our tournaments we went to, they wanted to play ball at the next level. So it's just that already brings a certain level of play style and even just like freedom out on the court, because you're just really trying to showcase your skills and show what you got. And I'm not knocking high school sports and saying it's not there either, but it's more of just like that's where the focus is in AAU. And then so switching to back to just going through your school curriculum and then your schedule. In the beginning I was like kind of butting heads with my coach of like things that I could do, things I couldn't, and especially with me playing varsity for all 4 years. There was some stuff that I had to like dial back on, because at that time I had a coach that he was very regimented and not letting freshmen get too comfortable and doing all this. Seniority was a big thing with him. But I'm not gonna name him, but people who know me know who it is. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And then I think I've like year after year, say like junior year and then senior year coming back to, it's like you're showcasing different things at the AU level, but you're also like fine tuning different things so that when you do go to high school to play, that you're just getting better every year, and the stuff that you worked on over the summer is like showing out, in your school league. So I would say I'm kind of copping out where I'm saying like it wasn't a hard or an easy transition. I just think it was a fruitful transition if you look at it that way. Because you can get a lot of practice is big, and it's kind of like if you're playing pickup with a bunch of plumbers and stuff, are you going to get better, or are you going to go to this park where you playing a bunch of like former college players, or like that's going to get you better, just kind of like iron sharpens iron. But you can't have something else sharpen you if like it's not really that quality of a knife, I guess. I don't know. I might be messing that analogy up, but see where I'm coming from. So yeah, I think it was a pretty fruitful in both ways transition from AAU to school league. So
Okay. Now, what high schools did y'all play for?
I played for Covenant in Charlottesville, so it was a private school, so that already brought in a different level of competition as well than public school. So
Okay.
I was Orange my freshman year, Orange County, and then Woodbury Forest from sophomore to senior.
Okay. All right. Well, my baby goes out to play Orange every now and then, so
Okay, yeah, yeah.
we travel way out there. Y'all, they have some nice gyms out there, even though it's way out. It's some nice facilities out there. Now, where question: where did you all? You Coach Fowler let me know that you were successfully, you successfully both went to college and played ball in college. Where did you get the most college looks, do you think? Did you get it in your AU experience, or was it through the public or private school structure? Which one did you get most looks or most letters from?
I think I got all of my looks from AAU. I think pretty much. I mean, I can't think of any that I got from school. So I think I pretty much got all the books I got from AAU. I think.
Mm. And Daniil?
Yeah. And I actually didn't play in college, but I went to Lynchburg College, but didn't play there. But I got most of my looks kind of same with Luke from AAU. I probably only got about one look in high school at being at Covenant my last year. But yeah, mostly from AAU for sure.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's good to know. That's good. People need to hear. Even back then, it was, and now AAU is even bigger than it was now. I think a lot of people don't. Of course, this is obvious to Coach Fowler and people who are really on the end, but I think a lot of parents who need to watch this podcast, they don't understand that that's where you're going to get your looks from, and pretty much the public schools, you're not going to get when I was young in 91, people were going to get their looks from public school, you know what I'm saying? But that's all changed now. So Luke, where did you go to college, and and what was your experience like there?
Went to Randolph Macon.
Oh yeah, I know you shared that. I didn't know if that was it. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I went there. I mean, the experience, it was a great experience, really. I mean, I can't downplay it. Like, I think, I mean, my first year there, I uh, tore my meniscus, like after practice, like messing around with my teammates trying to dunk on them. And I felt something pop. And then I was out my whole freshman year. I could have redshirted, but it was Division III, so it was paying to go there still. And we were pretty bad. We had the worst season ever. Like, so the year before I went there, they were #1 in the country. And so I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I was like, oh, I'd rather let me go D3. I mean, I probably could have gone JUCO and tried to get Division I, but I was like, am I gonna have a lot of playing time? Like I lost all throughout high school on my public school team. I was like, I want to be on a team that wins and stuff, and I want to be able to play. And but my first year there, I mean, I didn't play at all. I had knee surgery, and but they had the worst season of Randolph Macon history because Randolph Macon's a very like a big basketball school. It always has been, and we only went 13-14. I think we were only one game below 500. And this was Coach Merkel. I don't know if you're familiar, but he won the national championship. This was his first year there too, and then my sophomore year we tied the conference for first place regular season, and then lost the first. Oh, so my first year we got our butts kicked first round of the ODAC tournament. Second year we weren't that good. We barely tied first for the conference, but then still lost first round of ODACs. And then my junior year, we were #1 in the conference, and we felt pretty good. And then we lost in the first round of ODACs again. So all first 3 years. And then my senior year, we finally got past that hump. And then in my senior year, I think we ended up 27-4. And we made it to the ODAC championship. First play of the ODAC championship, our starting center tears his ACL. And the team that we're playing is and we were already down to another starter as well. And we had another big man quit, who was first team all ODAC the year before. He quit halfway through the season. And so we were really down on bigs. And then we ended up losing the championship game. But then we ended up going to the NCAA tournament, and then won the first 2 games, and then got to the Sweet 16, and then lost there to the finalist, to the runner up. But it was really cool because then after that, the next season was COVID, so it got canceled. But they were #1 in the country, right, going into the tournament. And then the year after that, they didn't even have a NCAA tournament, and but the next season that they did have a tournament, they won the national championship. So that was pretty cool. You know, it felt good for me as an alumni, like knowing that you know, I left it better than it was when I got there, even though they were number one, like when I got there. And then, you know, we kind of went to the depths and then kind of climbed our way out of that. So I mean, I feel very lucky and grateful that I got to have that experience for sure.
That's awesome. Now, your time at Ashland, did Mr. Jingles used to do his world tour of Ashland when you were there?
Oh yeah, his jingles would be jingling too.
I'll edit that part out.
Yeah,
But just so you know, so,
yeah.
Coach Ballard just said, this is an Ashland thing. Only people from Ashland, the center of the universe, know this. My kids and I, we were in a library doing a podcast interview, and my kids were really little. And then all of a sudden, this man is driving by on a bike in a dress. And it's a miniskirt dress as well. You know what I'm saying? And then I asked the lady, I was like, "What?" You know, because this is a country town. And then and my little girls who are homeschooled, they were like, "Daddy, look!" You know, and then the lady said, "Oh, no, that's Mr. Jingles." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." You know, like I didn't know. And then I was like, I had to shut my because you know, homeschool kids, when they see something they ain't never seen before, they just saw a man in a miniskirt on a bicycle, and he's jingling as he's going down the road. And my babies was like, "Mr. Jingles." So everybody in Ashland, they know Mr. Jingles. But Luke, I'll take that out if that bothers you or anything.
No, I think it's funny. No.
We didn't say nothing bad. I'm just everybody in
Now
Ashland.
everybody knows to look for Mr. Jingles when they go
Mr.
there.
Jingles. He's an Ashland staple, man. Everybody knows Mr. Jingles in Ashland. So, hey, that is an awesome story. Now, when you hurt your knee, was it the same knee that you hurt in high school, or was it a separate one?
Yeah, same one. Yeah, same one. Yeah, yeah.
Man, oh,
Yeah,
man.
but it's all good now. Yeah, I think yeah, it feels good now. Yeah, it stunk, but you know, I think everything happens for a reason, so I'm not gonna be sad about it. You know, it worked itself out for sure.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Now, did any of now I got some Randolph making questions for you because my daughters and if this is too personal or whatever, let me know. I always hear that D3 athletes that it's not a scholarship, but if you are good enough at that they will quote unquote with other types of things, they'll take care of you. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll take care of you so that you walk away not having to, not having to bear the same burden. Did they take care of the athletes then and there at that time, or what was your experience?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think yeah, definitely. I think it probably depends on the program, but I think or like the school, but I think Randolph Macon in particular is pretty good with all that, like in terms of financially. And I think a lot of it with D3, at least for Macon's sake, it has to do with like your parents' income, I think, in terms of like how much financial aid they give to you. So I mean that's kind of can be good, could be bad, depending on, you know, where you come from and stuff. And but I think ultimately, yeah, I think that they can definitely make it work, you know, for everybody. But yeah, it's not like I don't know how the NIA stuff works with D3 either. I mean, but I would imagine that probably some of that is allowed in Division 3 too. So I think it's probably better now than it was when I went there. Probably, I mean, I think that's probably fair to say. So yeah, I mean, they definitely take care of us in a lot of other ways though. When I was there, yeah.
So a D3 athlete doesn't walk away with a whole bunch of debt like the average student, right? Or
Right. Well, yeah, I think it depends. It depends on where they were at before going to college. Well, it really depends on the parents' income, I think. I think that's the ultimate thing with the Division 3, because I think there's like finance. I'm not super versed in it. I don't want to give bad information, but from what I've understood, it depends on like how much money your parents make for how much you're going to end up paying when you go there. So,
okay. That's good to know. Well, I only got one salary out of 5 people, so
yeah.
hopefully that'll hook a brother up. You know what I'm saying? When it's time for my baby to go. So
And I think before we because when we talked to Daniil about his as well, I think it's important to know that both Luke and Daniil made personal decisions with the colleges that they chose, and the decision, with Daniil, I let him tell his own story. But Daniil did have offers. Daniil could have played college basketball. Daniil chose personally to move on from that and just begin pursuing. And I'll let him tell his own story. And actually, the way that we wooed Daniil kind of into our program was Luke had an offer from a Division 1 school, Duquesne, out of Pittsburgh, leaving 8th grade. And so we went to Duquesne to visit, and they were like, yeah, bring some other guys if you'd like to bring as well, because we were going to take Luke up. And so to kind of get familiar with Daniil and kind of get Daniil familiar with what we were doing, and his family, we brought Daniil with us to the Duquesne visit. And so it was kind of Adam, Luke, Daniil, and there was one other kid that came with us as well. So Luke is these guys we're higher level, and so I don't want anybody to look at it and be like, Daniil didn't play in college or whatever the situation, or Luke went Division III. I think Luke, you even had an offer from Navy at Division I out of high school, and I can't remember, was it that you didn't want to go to a military school or what it was, but I think Navy was showing a lot of interest. Was that the case?
Yeah, I got a verbal offer from them, but I would have had to go to like this NAPS thing, which is basically like a JUCO thing. So it wasn't like I didn't really have a spot on the team, and I did get in some trouble in high school for something silly, and I think that kind of after that I was like, all right, I'm picking something, and then I was like, all right, I'm just going to run off making. So I kind of
Yeah.
got a
So there was
little.
with the knee injury and then some other circumstances. So I mean, again, these dudes, you know, were much higher than what, and I don't want to take anything away from their decisions, but for the people watching and trying to understand, again, Luke had a Division I offer leaving eighth grade, and Daniil had many opportunities. I mean, there were a lot of places that Daniil could have went, and he made the best decision for him. And based off the job he had, shoot, he made a heck of a decision. So, so, but I'll let him tell it. I just wanted to fill in because them trying to tell that for themselves. I mean, I'm kind of stepping in, and I got their back a little bit with that, with that information.
Awesome, awesome. So Daniil, I hear you have an excellent job affiliated with the sports community in UVA. Can you tell us about that job, and then also how you ended? What was the path to that job?
Sure. So I always grew up loving UVA. Born and raised in Charlottesville. Obviously, a lot like that. I'm sure everybody in Charlottesville, not everybody, but a bunch of people in Charlottesville can say the same thing. Um, love the school, so I just kind of wanted to be involved with it in some areas, especially if I could do it with sports. Love all sports, including basketball, football, and all the other stuff. So I think. So what I mainly do is just work with alumni, uh, and our office kind of we partner a lot with UVA sports in that space because we put on, let's say like if there's a big football game, away football game, we have a huge tailgate for those parents and parents, families, and friends who travel to the away game to just have a good time together, and just stay in that alumni kind of crowd together. So we put on different events for them in different areas, just to keep them connected. And then sometimes, most of the times, I get to staff these events because it's they need more staff people. So, and I was saying this earlier, I kind of just get paid to have fun and just get people to connect together, and then also get to go to some football games, some basketball games to watch UVA too in these different cities. So it's definitely a great job. Um, and then rewinding and going back to my I guess my journey out of high school. I had a few kind of smaller schools looking at me. I think so. So I had a few visits to some schools like, let's say, Davidson, Elkins. I visited Longwood one year, where the coach at that time used to coach me at AAU, Lemke. And then also, let's see where else we had gone to. Mentioned Duquesne, Radford. I had a few elite camps that I went to, that the college teams would put on. I think Radford had one, and then that's where I went to Davis Elkins for their basketball camp. I think they called them like Pro Elite Days or something like that, or camps. Um, and then Christopher Newport was another one that kind of came into the fold as of late, where I was kind of battling with another player, a guard that they were looking at too. And if I remember correctly, I think kind of the only difference was that he could dunk and I couldn't dunk, but I think that was the only thing. But we actually played each other in high school and he got strapped, but that's a whole nother story. So, um, I just always been like that scrappy player, like as Fowler mentioned earlier, defensively, defense was kind of my calling card, and always would think like if you can't score on me, then it's like you're not going to score anything. You know, I don't need to score a point, but as long as I stop you from scoring, like I'm good. Or if I'm on the court, and I'm making my team better. I can have like 0 points as long as I got 15 assists. You know, like I'm gonna impact the game in any kind of way I can. Um, and then also, I think it came down to like a decision, and I kind of prayed over it. Like, I visited some schools. When I visited Lynchburg College, I fell in love with the campus. And I was like, I can really see myself here. If it wasn't for sports, I prayed over it. I'm just like, and then the coach had gave me the option to walk on the team. I was mulling over that as well. So then school goes through, and then there was a whole kind of miscommunication with the coach, and 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 all this paperwork I had to fill out that I didn't know about because I missed an interest meeting that I had a job during. I was like working in the caf to get some extra money, broke college student trying to get some money. So I was able to miss that. He told me it's okay to email him, didn't get back, and then so I was kind of like, all right, well, I'm behind the eight ball. That kind of made my decision for me. So I just kind of took a different direction, and which was fine. I'm completely fine with the direction I went. I was just doing club ball. I would scrimmage with the varsity team every now and then, and like even they would realize like, oh, Daniil, why aren't you on the team? But so it's just kind of like I knew my talent was there. It just gave me that peace of mind. I'm like, okay, I know I can play on this level. Just like some people take different directions, and we move on from there. And I love where I'm at now, and I couldn't agree more with the decision I made earlier. So yeah, that's kind of my roller coaster story, but I have no regrets at all where I ended up in the decisions I made. So yeah.
Now, the private school in that you went to in high school, was that because of basketball, or were your parents going to send you to that one regardless?
So I made the decision to go for basketball. I wanted to give myself, well, the best opportunity. Private school, it's just we would have more I guess exposure. You play some higher quality teams. I think we played against a lot of D1 athletes at the schools we were going up against these other private schools in the Virginia prep ranks. And so I did that for one. And then the coach that was there at the time, he had ran a lot of them basketball camps growing up and stuff. And so we had that connection, and I was gonna be a freshman. So um, I would get that chance to play varsity all 4 years. Where at my previous institution, I was going through Charlottesville City Schools, so I was at CHS. I wouldn't have got that opportunity. I don't think it's just public and private. Then also, it's like the level of competition would have been different as well. So we willingly make that change. So um, and it was basketball motivated as well as like the curriculum at private school as well. So college prep, curriculum.
Awesome, awesome. Now, how has athletics shaped you all professionally, and how has it helped? And then also, um, I can imagine it might be a little frustrating because basketball is more of a meritocracy, and sometimes the corporate world isn't. But where has it been a blessing for either one?
I think,
Any lessons learned that you took with you into the professional world?
yeah, for sure. I can go ahead and jump in. I think just the just hard work, just working hard, and not having anything given to you. Like I was explaining earlier, how I'm just like a kind of scrappy guy on the basketball court. I would say I'm kind of a scrappy guy, and even in the office, or a scrappy guy like when we put on events, and just kind of like I'm making sure. And I'm a musician as well, so that's where I'm a perfectionist as well. So just kind of like giving my all into whatever I'm doing, and making sure my work is my best work, and I'm showing my best self every day I come in the office, or every time I step on the court. I'm giving my best self. So I'm not trying to half-ass anything, and let people know that, yeah, I come here and I mean business, and you're gonna get the full me, and not just someone's gonna halfway um, give you something. So
Let me guess, saxophone. Is it saxophone?
nah, it's piano and voice. But
All
I
right.
did play
Tony,
clarinet back
Tony,
in.
he sang at mine and Tish's wedding.
Oh wow, that is so cool. That is
Yeah,
so
he
cool.
sang at our wedding.
Hey, well, if you ever move to the Woodbridge area, my church needs a pianist, so I'm gonna hit you up.
All right. Sounds
Now,
good.
that's the hardest part about pastor, man. The piano. Everyone had the people dog out the pastor and like, oh, pastors are in it for money and da 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 da. Man, let me tell you this: music is a business. I mean, in the church world, music is a business. If you want to talk about what really costs money to get a good musician, and that, woof, there's music. Matter of fact, I might just put my daughters through piano lessons just to just to cut on the overhead. Amen.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you ever come by Woodbridge, give me a holler, Daniil.
Sounds good. I will.
So,
Will do.
how did athletics shape your world, Luke, when you moved on from that?
Honestly, a lot of ways. I think, maybe at first a little bit, you get a little, it's kind of figuring life out. It's like, oh, my story's not over yet. Like, oh, this is, still got, stuff to do in life and stuff. But I think one thing, one of my friends was telling me about this, about like, I wanted to learn how to get better with school and stuff. And he was like, you gotta take it as a competition, like take it as like you're competing with school and stuff. And like same with like the job, it's like I think like just having like a level of competitiveness, I think, like with what you do in terms of like, but more so like in terms of like competing with my former self, right? Like that's what I'm trying to compete with, it's like I'm not like, I know that like with athletics, I realize, sometimes I think it's human. We all compare each other and stuff. And I feel like I never, I don't think that helped serve me in any way, like comparing myself to others. And I think with athletics, one thing I realized was like, don't compare with anybody else. Like, hey, compare with who you were yesterday. And like, as long as you're beating your former self, pause, but like as long as you are, striving to improve yourself. And I think with my career and stuff like that, I think just having like the competitive aspect of like and like wanting to be good and knowing that all right, I need to work on my skills and I need to, tend my garden and stuff like that, I guess. And like so I think that, and then like maybe like a sense of urgency too with some things, like, it's like, oh, I gotta get this done or else, it's like kind of, I think that probably comes from athletics too, like, oh, don't, if like a project's due in 2 weeks, it's like, all right, I got to prepare, I got to get this done, I got to get it done. And so I think it's definitely served me very well. And I think in terms of like, just giving people grace and moving with like a calm attitude, I guess, because you got Coach Fowler yelling at you all the time, to learn how to be calm in some situations, where, and it's not a thing of, oh, they hate me, oh, they, it's like, all right, they just, you know, they're probably worried about their job or whatever, and so to not take things too personally, I think has also helped me out, and I think that's probably come from sports as well. So yeah.
Amen. I got one more Macon question. Um, did any of your teammates at Macon, did they ever get offers or did they ever get people interested in them moving up to D1 or D2? Did that ever happen?
Oh yeah. One of my best friends, he actually played at the Naval Academy, and that's where I was kind of like, oh, I'm going there for a little bit in high school, and but he ended up hating it and then dropped out and was like, no, I'm going to Randolph Macon because he knew the coach. They had ties and stuff for some people, but he ended up being one of my best friends, and he told me all the reasons why. I'm glad that I didn't go to the Naval Academy, and then I played. Probably the best player to ever play at Randolph Macon, in my opinion, at least. Started at Randolph Macon when I was a junior. He came in as a freshman. His name is Buzz Anthony. He was player of the year like 2 or 3 times in Division III. And he's got a whole ton of other accolades. He won the national championship with them, but he had an offer after his freshman year, I think, to go Division I, and he was like, no. He was like, I like the team too much. I'm staying here, and then there's plenty of stories from the past too. I think especially maybe before like the whole internet age of things, there was a lot of people who kind of slipped through the cracks. They ended up at Randolph Macon, and they ended up, being really good. And yeah, so I think definitely there were definitely people who could have moved up if they wanted to, but I think that the ones that I played with, they all liked Randolph Macon enough to stay. So.
Amen.
And I think it's important to know the landscape of Virginia is Division I or Division III. I mean, I think there might be two Division twos, and with that being in the league that those Division twos are in, uh, could probably compete low Division one. So a lot of people do fall through the cracks because of the landscape of college basketball in Virginia. You don't have very many Division two, so you have Division one, and if Division ones ain't on you, then your next thing in line is Division three. So a lot of people do fall through the cracks that probably could play at the Division two, low Division one level, end up Division three because of that. So understanding that aspect, and now with the way the transfer portal is, I'm sure a lot of those people that do fall through the cracks and end up in Division three have the opportunity to transfer up. More so now than when Luke played, because Luke, it wasn't that long ago that Luke played, but the game has changed so much even since then. With the transfer portal and all of that, that is probably more common now than even just 5 years ago. So.
Okay. Gentlemen, during your day, was there a live session in AAU like there is today, where there's a live session for active recruiting, or did they have that back then, or was it something that's evolved since your day?
Oh, yeah, they had it. So I'm sure it's evolved, but they definitely had a live session. I remember that. I think it was like maybe July and August or something like that. But yeah, I think that, yeah, definitely.
Okay. And Coach Fowler, for the ignorant who like myself 3 years ago who might be tuning in, can you explain what a live session is?
There were live periods when those guys played, and we were always active during the live periods. There were two during April and two during July, when those guys played. And basically, it's a part of the recruiting calendar when Division one coaches can come out. Division two had their own separate kind of calendar. It was a little bit different than Division one, but they had their own calendar. They could come out a little bit more than Division one could, but it was specifically designed for Division one coaches to come out. Division three could come out pretty much anytime they wanted to. Now the rule has changed, and Division two is on the Division three calendar, so Division two and Division three can recruit anytime. But when they played, we made sure that we were always in tournaments, quality tournaments that were NCAA certified events, which just so happened a lot of times to be big shots back in the day. But we would get around to Hoop Group and some of those other ones, Pitt Jam Fest. We were in West Virginia then these were back when you could actually have tournaments on campuses. So we would play at Pitt, at their facility. We play at West Virginia, their facility. Even further back before then, UVA had one. This was before Daniil and them. But anyway, they would have NCAA certified events when college coaches could come out, and we made sure we were always in those events, the better ones, to get them in front of coaches.
Amen. Amen. So, Coach Fowler, it's been great having these guys on. You have any closing thoughts or any questions, or what's your wrap up there?
Well, I would like to, before we close and before I do all that, I would kind of like to get their perspective on AAU when they played, and what their perspective is of AAU now, if they're still involved, still see it, and kind of how they feel about the landscape now, because again, they were in that transition period. I mean, that was kind of a sweet period for them, because, gosh, I would have hated to have that team in this AAU age right now. I kind of wish I would have had that team at the same time I had the Flavor All Stars with Nico and them, because they would have gotten an opportunity to play a lot more competitive teams, and would have gotten to prove themselves a little bit more. But they still were able to. They still played against some really good competition, and we were still able to play some of the shoe contract teams and whatnot. But I'm just curious, because they fell in that sweet spot, kind of what their thoughts, and kind of to give your perspective of when you guys played, to the people that are listening and the people that are trying to understand how much the game has changed, because it has changed a lot since you played. But I'm just trying to get y'all's perspective on the differences and how you feel about the new game. And either order, it doesn't matter. Whichever one to go first.
All right, yeah, I'll go ahead. So one thing I was going to say this earlier. I was going to say like in terms of like our my SQBA experience, my I guess AU experience. I think it was pretty rare considering like when I went to college and just talking to teammates. So they all hated AAU. They were all like everybody on my team was all selfish. We all hated each other. They just wanted the ball and they just wanted to ball hog and score and stuff. And I think that was like probably talking to other people. That seems like the kind of how it went for a lot of people, like they didn't like AAU, and I was like, well, I loved AAU. Like I loved AAU more than high school and stuff. And so so shout out to you and SQBA for putting that all together. And I think with today's AAU thing, I think personally, I think it's kind of sad, and I don't like it. Like like Parks and Rec, for example, like some of my best memories are when I was younger, like playing Parks and Rec and like with friends and stuff from the small town or whatever. And, and nowadays, like they don't really have Parks and Rec teams anymore. Now it's like you either play on an AAU team or you don't play at all,
Well, the
so I,
Parks and Rec teams are AAU teams now.
right.
They're
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
and getting
Exactly.
blown out every
Yeah,
weekend.
and it's kind of like I think it's a little bit gross about like how like where it's like, oh, the EYBL league or the Nike team you have to. And so like there's these people that maybe they come from like super rich families, and then their parents just, so there's like two people on the team that pretty much pay for everybody else to play, and like on these like crazy sponsored Nike teams that are like super expensive to be on. And I just think it's all like now it's all like everybody's it's a market, right? It's more of like a it's not you know for the love of the game, right? It's not, it's more for the love of money. And I hope it changes, because I mean I get why it's happening, but I don't like it ultimately. I don't think it's good for like community. I don't think it's good for kids. And that's the issue. It's not good for the kids, I don't think. And I think it leads a lot of people to probably run away from basketball, and or Jimmy's playing on this EYBL team, and like Jimmy doesn't get any playing time or anything, but he's on the team, and his parents are paying for all of it. And so Jimmy, it's just stuff like that in high school. I feel like can mess with kids' heads and stuff like that. So I don't like it. I don't like the way it's evolved, personally.
And that's where a little bit of where this title of this podcast came from, man. So what you referenced right there, for the love of the game instead of the business that the basketball has become. It's for the love of the game. So good plug right there, Luke. Thanks, man.
Amen. And brother G.
Yeah, I start with just some small, but back I feel like the prices definitely haven't gone down for the wristbands. I feel like they've been going up higher and higher. It's just like these current tournament prices are just like super expensive. Or they have like day passes where it's like you got to do at least 2 days, but and it's just so that definitely is. I haven't gone to many tournaments more recently, but my little nephew, I went to one that he was playing in. But I would say I kept thinking of, when you asked this question, I kept thinking of the more than the game, the LeBron documentary, and like how you had those closely knit teams like that, that like literally grew up together and like going to all these AE tournaments together and sleeping on each other's floors and each other's houses and stuff, pizza parties and stuff like that. But I feel like nowadays it's not really that much connectivity, or that like, camaraderie between teams. And I know it's AAU, and it's just kind of like it's a whole different thing with, in terms of like if they're from that area or not, and I get that. But it's just kind of like that camaraderie in one team, and like what you can achieve with that certain sense of camaraderie is just, you don't see it as much these days, because you just got plugins, and this dude moved here because he's going to this high school, so now he's on this AU team. And so it's like a lot more movement, in which is completely different than transfer portal stuff, because that's college. But then you got high school people trying to move and wheel and deal, move around to get the best opportunity for high school as well. So then it permeates into like the AAU teams, and then in the tournaments that they go to there. So I think for the little that I've seen recently in AAU, I think that's been the biggest thing that I've seen, is just the movement and how the teams just don't really have that much connectivity as much, and like kind of what Luke said earlier, every man for themselves, and you can't really see good talent like that if you don't really know your teammates that much, because then it just looks like pickup after a while. And coaches don't like that, as we know. So it's just yeah, I think that's what I've seen the most change in since we played.
Amen.
Well, I can tell you that trying to put together a 3-year plan that we put together would be completely different now. The knowing that you had 4 or 5 guards, uh, and that were all high level, next level college players, and everybody can't start. There's no way that we would have been able to keep this team together for 3 years. Now, the way we kept that team together, and you guys were so willing, because I think it had a lot to do with y'all, being so close knit. We did a lot of stuff that teams don't do nowadays. I mean, I noticed this a lot with my daughter's teams, is they don't get out and spend much time together. We would do the life lessons, and then we would get out and eat at the restaurants together, and try to do things together to build camaraderie. And you guys were even hanging out at home together. Y'all were standing at each other's house and going to camps together and doing things like that. I noticed that that's not the same now as it used to be. Making these friends is a little bit different. A lot of people are competing against each other now. Instead of saying, "Hey, we can do this together." Um, the way you guys did. So yeah, it's definitely that's a big difference, and it would be totally different trying to put together a 3-year plan with the level of talent that we had, on that team, than what people would be able to do now, because people would just be jumping ship. And I'm not coming off the bench, and you guys were willing and knowing that, hey, after that team already just took a good one of our best shots. Now we're going to put in another wave, and we're going to give them another starting lineup. So we come with 2 starting lineups, and after that first wave, they think, "Woo, they're finally subbing," and then we sub in another starting lineup, and it was totally different. So, so you wouldn't see that nowadays. So I got what you're saying with that.
Well, I think y'all both y'all made my decision a little easier. My daughter finally connected with one of those old school AAU teams, but they're not a big name, but they have that culture, and they've got a strong personality like Coach Fowler as well, and they have that culture where all the kids are actually really rooting for each other. So we had a decision to make whether the big name or the that that culture that y'all are talking about, and I think y'all helped us make a decision tonight, because I'm hearing y'all, and I've already seen my daughter in environments where everybody was hating on each other. And that's just, I don't want even if we don't make the scholarship, I don't want my daughter going through 5, 6 years of, it being a basketball soap opera where everybody's backstabbing each other and everybody's trashing each other, and people not genuinely happy for having a player who's playing well on their team. They would rather do bad. It's crazy in basketball today. There are certain teams out there would rather do bad without a good player than have a good player be on the team and outshine them. And like I don't know if that's always happened, but I've seen that. I've seen that. So y'all have made the decision a little easier. So I appreciate. Uh, I don't care about going viral. I think there's some nuggets that get dropped in these episodes that if people would listen, especially if new dads or new basketball dads would listen, I think there's a lot of really good nuggets, and y'all dropped some real good nuggets today. So I appreciate that. Any other closing thoughts, Coach Fowler?
Yeah, and again, it's never been about going viral for me, man. This is a good platform. You guys know how I feel about the game of basketball. You guys have experienced my passion. But I will say that you guys also retired me too, man, because I've held every team after y'all to the same standard, and they ain't never lived up. So it was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. So that's the biggest thing when you get a team, when you're blessed to have a team like them, Tony, to be around guys like that were self motivated. Me and Luke's dad would go and have a drink. at the restaurant, and then Daniil's parents started getting involved and whatnot, and we all became really good friends. And you didn't have to worry about what those guys were doing back at the hotel, and what they were getting involved in until Luke got with the next team. Then that team was a little different. I had to worry about them a little bit, but with this group that we're talking about, uh, those guys were motivated, man. They hung out together, they stayed together, they pop in every now and then, say, "Hey, we're good." Go back to the hotel. They'd walk right back to the hotel. And as far as I know, they were doing what they were supposed to do. They were always ready for those 8 a.m. games if we had them. They always were where they needed to be on time. And so when you get blessed with a team like that were motivated the way they were and pushed each other, hung in like that practice and held each other up and carried each other. You're blessed to have a team like that, and you'll be hard pressed to try to find a team like that again. I mean, I certainly nowadays that's how much the game has changed. I just don't know if it's even possible to get a group of guys like those guys again. So I'll stop looking for that standard. I'm gonna have to, if I ever get back into coaching, that standard. I don't know if I'll be able to. That can't be the bar anymore. Might have to lower it a little bit, but not guys, man. I appreciate you. It's good to see you, Daniil, Luke. Good to see you guys, man. Kind of reminisce a little bit, reunite with you guys, and get y'all's perspective and bring y'all onto this platform. This is exactly what it's for. To get you perspectives from guys like you, definitely who've been through it. And can offer something. You even offered Tony a little something tonight. So appreciate you guys, man, and y'all stay in touch. I mean, come on, man. It's Coach Fowler. Y'all stay in touch.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much, and thank you for taking us through the journey we went through. It's been super helpful, and like we said earlier, I still glean from those experiences today, through life. So yeah, thank you so much for those experiences.
Yes, sir.
Everything Daniil said. Yeah, thanks for keeping us in mind, and thanks for having us, and appreciate you, leading us the way you did. I mean, really, yeah, I think you were a great coach. I love playing under you, and yeah, thanks for having us on this podcast, Tony. It was good meeting you, and Daniil, I saw you at the UVA game. We gotta stay in touch, man. Let's
Sure.
do something sometime. I'll let you know when I'm in Charlottesville, and yeah, man. But yeah, thanks, y'all. I appreciate you. This is fun for me. This was a lot of fun. So thank you.
And Luke, I think I might have rubbed off on you in another way too, man. Congratulations on your engagement. I saw what your fiance looks like. So you might have. Tony, he's on the team, man. He's on the team.
Basketball will do that to you. Basketball will do that to you.
Make sure y'all like and subscribe for the love of the game with Tony and Davis. That was good.
But hey, before we go, Denny, I just want you to say my little brother, who when he went to UVA, his job that he loved, that he didn't want to move on for, was conference planning. And
Nice.
yeah. So I've even been, I don't know if they changed the facilities, but it was, and he, he went to corporate America and everything, but he always looks back at that job that was the most fun, the best job, just planning parties and planning events for UVA. It was, and I'll say this, y'all got the best campus out there, man. Like when people go to UVA, I've been to a lot of, UVA special. So UVA has a special college campus. So salute to you for that. Well, thank y'all for both thank you both for coming on, and I appreciate you and the way y'all move, and the way you came on this podcast. We really appreciate you. You showed a lot of grace, and you also showed a lot of integrity as well. And we just thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, and good luck to your kids too on their basketball journeys as well.
Yeah, we got 3. And it's always up and down, Coach Fowler doesn't have as many downs as I do, you know what I mean? Because Italy is just on, she's on fire. But my babies, sometimes we get little ups and downs, ups and downs. But we're watching Italy so that we can kind of learn and we can get more of those trajectories upward, So Coach Fowler's kind of like my mentor when it comes to that, when it comes to basketball dads. So he's already sent me all kind of plyo equipment and all this other stuff that, so I can get my baby faster. So
if they need to get conditioned, let me know.
Amen. Hey, well, you ain't gonna have my babies in socks in the parking lot, though.
That's what Keith said too.
All right, y'all have a blessed one now.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks,
All
y'all.
right.
Y'all have a good one, man.
Peace, peace.